Okay, this is the last project, Project P for the 119 section. And what I'm going to do is this occurred on an exam, a competitive exam, by the way, and it was for students to solve this. Of course, we're expecting to read through this over here. On a competitive exam, people are not using Sage to do the problem, of course. They're using paper and pencil to do it. So I want to point out that I did go through the work on it for it by hand, but what I want to do is I want to go through the Sage business. Now, I'm getting a little bit better. I don't want to look at the code, right? So I want to see if I can solve this thing by without looking at the code, all right? So, you know, my expectation is trying to solve this thing over here. I might get stuck, by the way, because I don't know what to do. And what I mean by that, if I'm a student and I haven't dealt with Sage much, I may not know what to do. But what I do know what to do is I know how to type in the material, at least initially, all right? So what I want to claim over here is I think I can handle some of this, all right? I'm going to go to the terminal. I'm going to reset. I've done this many times before. I'm going to define two variables, x and y. And those y variables, what is it going to be? It's going to be var. It's pretty easy to type in, right? X and y is also a variable. And now I'm gonna define my equations here. I'm gonna say EQ1. My first equation is gonna be assigned x squared plus x star y. Double equal sign for an equal sign indicates an equation is equal to 20. And I'm gonna define my second equation, EQ2, and that's gonna be assigned y squared plus x star y, and that is equal to 30. You notice I'm using a double equal sign that indicates an equation. All right, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to solve, S-O-L-V-E, and what I'm going to solve a list of equations. And I put that in the listing notation, EQ1, comma, EQ2. That's a list. And what do I solve for? I want to solve for both x and y. And let's see if it can do it. And you know what? It does it. It gives me answers over here. So what I want to claim over here, looking at it, that was not their question. Their question is, what's x times y? So I'm going to do something that looks kind of creepy to me, but I'm going to copy this. X times y. I'm just doing a copy paste, by the way. This is going to produce an error, by the way. I still want to do it, though. Oh, no, it didn't produce an error. But I'll be honest with you, there appears to be some trouble over here, and I'm wondering, am I getting the right answer? Oh, yeah, it does say 12. I wasn't expecting them to do that, by the way. I'll tell you why. But actually, you know what? It is okay, because this thing is -3. But I just want to point out, I don't think I would have typed that in. Let me go through that again. I would copy this over here, times, and I would use parentheses for the second factor, or the factor y. You get the idea, you get 12. I could do this one over here, this thing. By the way, I don't need parentheses on the other guy because it's going to be, there's no minus sign over there. I'm still going to get 12, by the way. All right. What I want to do is look at the code, because you're going to learn something new by looking at the code. But I got the answer, it's 12. Now, if that were a competitive exam I was using Sage, that's no talent there, right? No talent at all. But I want to point out they did something almost identical, but they're assigning S to be this thing over here. I'm going to go through that with you. So they say S is equal to, whoops, I got to do that. S is equal, right? I should say assigned. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say equal. So if I display S as this thing over here. What I want to do is I want to go to the very next page, though, and I want to talk about notation that might be horribly confusing to students. This notation over here. All right? And let me just clear the screen again. Clear. And I'm going to type in S, display it. And I want to point out, if I do S0, I want to tell you what it's going to give back to me. Now, if you look at this thing over here, S0 is going to give me this thing here. And someone says, why is 0 the first one? Sage starts counting at 0. Python counts starting at 0. You get this over here. If I do S0, 1, what do you think it's going to give me? It's going to give me the second entry, right? Remember, we're counting from 0. It's going to give me this one over here. I'm seeing it, all right? Now, let's say I did S 0, 0. There's going to be a difference, by the way. Let me put F0 down first of all. You see that? Let's do this one over here. S 0, 0. You're going to see a difference now. What is it giving me? Well, S0 was this thing over here. Now, when I do S0, 0, it's going to be this thing over here. All right? Now, let's say I want to do that again, but I want the left-hand side. I'm learning something new over here. Left-hand side, which I get X. Now, let's say I did right-hand side. This is all about programming, by the way. Which should I get? Minus 2 square root of 2. You get the idea? All right. We look at this thing over here. I realize it's difficult. What are you going to be doing? You're going to be typing this in and try to make sense of what you're typing in. It is difficult, right? I realize these subscripted notations might be difficult for you, but they're lists, and what we're doing is starting counting with zeros. Within the list, we got right-hand sides and left-hand sides, yada, yada, yada. But try to make sense out of that, all right? Try to make sense. All right, thank you so much for paying attention.